make it funky. You got to rock like rock.
Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with blues harmonica player and singer Rick Estrin. We talked to him on May 11, 2020 during the COVID-19 throes about this new world of no live music. He was born in San Francisco in '49 and grew up fiercely independent. As a 10-year-old, he made his way through the tough Market Street area and befriended many of the neighborhood characters. When he was 12, his older sister gave him a copy of Ray Charles's The Genius Sings the Blues, and he became infatuated with the music. Since that time, music has become his vision and life. He's got a great story, and we're here to tell you about it. Enjoy.
So, Rick, thanks for taking a minute out during a very surreal time on planet Earth.
No kidding, Joe.
Man.
It's surreal for sure.
Oh, my God. How are you holding up out there?
I'm fine. You know, I'm fine so far. You know, I'm not sick, and I'm pretty accustomed to entertaining myself, so it's not as difficult for me as it seems to be for some people, but it is, as you said, surreal. And I do miss performing and playing, and I don't know when that will, come back, or what it's going to look like when it does come back.
You know, the one thing I've realized interviewing musicians is you've always kind of contemplated how strong is music, whether it's jazz or blues or whatever it is. And I've gotten my definitive answer, because the amount of shows and gigs and festivals and concerts that have been canceled by just one musician is staggering.
For each guy, it's everything's been canceled. Everything's been canceled. We have some things that haven't been canceled yet. We have some things as soon as July that haven't been canceled yet, but I can't imagine they're going to happen. And also, we have some things that have rescheduled for as soon as September, but I don't believe those are going to happen either. We have other things scheduled for November, which probably are not going to happen, that were rescheduled for November. So, and unfortunately, this was shaping up to be like the best year of my life. And
wow.
Now it's all, up in the air. But
yeah.
Music and entertainment is important to a lot of people, but, this thing is a lot bigger than that. So.
Well, maybe we'll realize after this the power of art, because the only way that people are going to be led into real true light during this time, one of the ways, is whether they're watching a movie or a show or listening to music or looking at a painting. I think there's a lot to be said about art in this time. I know there's the frontline workers, but I really believe that the service that artists are providing to humanity now is probably more important than ever.
Yeah, because it lifts your spirit, and takes you to another place, and in your mood and in your, mentally takes you somewhere else. So, yeah, emotionally, it's powerful. That's why I got into it to begin with, because it moved me.
So, speaking of getting into it, talk to me about how a kid from San Francisco grew up to become the artist that you are today.
Oh, my God. How long do we have? I think I was always kind of an oddball. And I had an older sister who was kind of a little teenage beatnik in the 1950s. And she had, when she was maybe real young, she had Elvis records and Little Richard records and stuff, which was cool stuff. But by the time she was about 15 or 16, she was getting, she had some jazz records like Mose Allison and Nina Simone and people like that, Miles Davis, and she also had some blues records because they were marketing blues for a folk audience then. So she had some records by John Lee Hooker and Big Bill Broonzy, and she had a couple Jimmy Reed albums, which, you know, so I got exposed to that stuff because she was into it, and I thought she was cool, and also the example that she set, you know, she just the way she was let me know that I didn't have to be some cookie cutter type of person. I could, you know, that there was some, you know, freedom available to me, you know, and freedom of expression. So I got into that. I remember for my 12th birthday, she gave me the album, The Genius Sings the Blues by Ray Charles. And I can remember just being so moved by that and so fascinated by that and so excited. And I just, you know, got into that music. And then growing up in San Francisco, I was like maybe 15 when the hippie era was starting, and at that time there was clubs and also ballrooms. You know, everybody's heard of the Fillmore Auditorium and the Avalon Ballroom and all that type of stuff was beginning to go on, and those people booking that, Bill Graham or this guy Chet Helms, they would put together these eclectic shows that had would have like some, you know, the Grateful Dead and Buddy Guy and Junior Wells, or, you know, the Jimi Hendrix and Muddy Waters, or so, you know, these shows where they would have these more you know, psychedelic hippie bands paired with blues acts and jazz acts and all these different things. So you were able to get exposed to that stuff. So and when also my father had just died, and I sort of needed something, and I started playing. And once I started playing, then once I sort of thought I was getting pretty good, I started venturing out into the inner city in San Francisco, in the Fillmore district, and in Hunters Point, and I started going out to these ghetto nightclubs and stuff where they had bands, and even though I was still a teenager, you know, I grew a mustache and put mascara on so it would be dark, and and I would go and I would go out, and then I started sitting in these places, and little by little, you know, started the, you know, a little embryonic career.
So you end up going to Chicago around 19, and you learned from Muddy Waters. What was that experience like for your career?
Well, that was, you know, great, because it was a different kind of scene. I mean, I was learning that stuff because all the, you know, a lot of the great Chicago harmonica players were who I was listening to and learning from off their records. And in California, there was a blues scene, but there wasn't a lot of harmonica. It was a little more sophisticated type of scene, and it was more guitar-oriented, because there had been people like T-Bone Walker and Lowell Fulson and stuff where the you know, that style was more prevalent out here. But in Chicago, the migration was primarily from Mississippi and Arkansas and stuff, and it was a more electrified country blues kind of thing. And so anyway, when I went to Chicago, and I got to play with, all these people who I had been learning from their records, and it was an eye opener for me, because the presentation in California, the presentation was different. It was a little more sophisticated and stuff, and the presentation in Chicago was more raw, and so that was an eye opener, and also in Chicago I got, because the style of harmonica I was playing was more that style. I got confirmation that I was on the right track. I got from those people who were the people who made the records that I was learning from, and when I got positive feedback from people like that, it was very encouraging to me. So when I went out there and I first sat in at Teresa's on a Blue Monday, and everybody was there. And, Junior Wells told me, he goes, "Man, you're gonna make it, boy. You got a lot of soul," and that was just great, And then Terry Bell told me he was playing with Muddy over at the Sutherland Hotel that weekend, and that if I would come down there and sit in, maybe Muddy would dig me and hire me, because he said he was planning on leaving the band. So, I went down there. I ended up sitting with Muddy, and he told me a lot. He told me a lot of really complimentary stuff, and was, seemed really enthused and excited. It was just great, man. It was like a dream come true. I mean, I get goosebumps thinking about it now, 50 years later. So,
right on.
Yeah.
So, what do you like the best about being a musician?
Oh man, there's many things I liked about it. I really I really like not having a boss, or when I do have a boss, it's for one night, or 2 nights. It's some club owner that I've seen the likes of him come and go a million times, and he don't know it. He thinks he's so that's I like it, man. I mean, I like the I love the actual act of it, the playing part, and the making, there's nothing negative about it, man. It's you're making people feel good, and you're making people feel better, and you're giving people a diversion from their everyday either drudgery or worse, problems, and you can uplift people, and you can give people something to identify with, and make people feel not so all alone. It sounds like I'm overblowing it, but it's kind of a noble thing to do, man. You're not hurting anybody, and you're helping people. So it's a good thing to do. And then just on a personal standpoint, like I said, I really like not, it's work, but it's not a job,
Yeah.
And I like that, man. I like not having a normal job. I love that, man. I've been able to circumvent the labor pool for all these years, man, and that was right for me. I think I've had jobs, before we were able to make a living with the band, and but on a long-term basis, I think I'd be a very poor employee. I don't like being told what to do too much.
Right. Yeah.
I can take instruction, and but on an ongoing basis, I think it's better for me to be in. And I like traveling. I like seeing things. I love going all over. I've been all over the world, man. It's been great. I've been all over the world, and with a purpose. And yeah, I love it. It may not be. I love everything about it. I love people are always, oh man, don't you get sick of hotels? No, I don't get sick of hotels. I love having a maid. I love eating in restaurants. Yeah.
Cool. So we're all going to get back to the live music one way or another, both the audience and the musician. What revelations do you hope we gain during this time away when we return?
And this is probably unrealistic. There's just like I live in Sacramento. This is kind of a roundabout way of saying it, but I live in Sacramento, California. And in the maybe 15 or 20 years ago, the local NBA team, the Sacramento Kings, were really good, and they were in the playoffs kind of regularly, and they, had opportunities to go further and all that, and they had sucked forever before that. And I'm not a huge basketball fan or anything, but I just liked it. It felt like a happy town when they were winning. And I like that, and I don't like that now. It really feels like, and not just because of the pandemic, but because of the polarization and the just people at such drastic odds with each other as far as politically and stuff. It's it doesn't feel good. So I would hope that at some point in my life, there can be more of a feeling of somewhat of unity and agreement, and on basic things. The polarization is it's gotten just, there's always going to be disagreement, but it's gotten so stark and so ugly. I would hope that people can come together, and people do come together. Music brings people together, and I would hope that people, when they come back out of the house and get back into whatever life looks like on the other side of this, I hope that people will remember that and appreciate what they get. I know that I've just been staying in the house most of the time, and I'll go out for a walk every day, go for a long walk, and I saw a guy that I know that, I know him, maybe we're not that close. I was so happy to see the guy. It blew my mind that I was so overjoyed at human contact. And So I just hope that people can, have a new appreciation for each other. And I think that, took me a long time to arrive at that. I hope that people will have a renewed or a new appreciation for each other.
Right on. So everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, your fans, but you're the one living your life. Who do you think you are?
Who do I think I am?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. I guess that's a difficult question. I'm a lot like Shaft in that I'm a complicated man. I'm not as swashbuckling as him, but I'm a person. I'm full of contradictions, but I know how to manage them at this point. And I understand how to outsmart myself. So who do I think I am? I'm a little bit of an oddball that was lucky enough that's had some absurdly good luck to be able to carve out a life that has worked for me, and I've survived a lot of my own stupidity, and I've been able to, because I'm a little peculiar, I have a slightly skewed take on things that I'm able to write about, and it has, given me a career that's lasted for decades. It's pretty incredible, really. So yeah, I've been absurdly lucky, really, really lucky, and I've had a great life, man. And I hope to continue having a great life for, I want to be the oldest person that ever lived.
Nice. I like it.
By the time it's over, that, I've been able to go all over the world and meet incredible people and great people and just delightful people everywhere. So,
right on, man. Hey, thank you for taking some time out today to talk to Neon Jazz. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks for listening and tuning into another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest singers and players in San Francisco, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Rick for his time, music, and stories. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.